So in order to reach the world's global sustainability goals, there is no doubt that the impact of our consumption is having a direct effect on us reaching those sustainability goals. So when we think about collaborative consumption, we're really able to look at our consumption patterns in a whole new way that's actually having a positive effect on sustainability rather than a negative effect due to our overconsumption and our mass production of goods. So people often think that changing our consumption behaviours is actually reducing our creature comforts or limiting the lifestyle that we've become used to. But in fact, with collaborative consumption, we can share assets that we have among a wider group of people and actually all have access to things at the same way, but in fact we're producing less and still consuming less as a whole. So if we are to reach these sustainability goals, then there's no doubt that collaborative consumption and reducing our overall consumption is going to play a massive part in that. So up until now, we've really only seen examples of collaborative consumption emerging in the mainstream in more developed economies, or the States, the US, the UK, Europe, largely Europe and Australia. But in fact, the wonderful thing about collaborative consumption is its application across a range of different environments and in a range of different outputs as well. We're seeing everything from the high-tech online solutions for collaborative consumption all the way down to the low-tech, high-touch, offline examples of collaborative consumption. And in this way, I think collaborative consumption has a real opportunity to create new solutions for economic development in developing countries and in poverty-stricken areas, because of the idea of actually distributing what we have much better than we ever have been, and those assets actually being enabled to be given to people who would otherwise be going without. So when we actually look at a collective pool of resources and giving everybody the same level of access to those resources, and we can actually enable people to become micro-entrepreneurs at the same time, where they're taking an asset that they do have and actually learning how to make that a viable business property where they can actually rent it out to others, or add that to the communal pool and achieve revenue through that. So when we're looking at economic development in the future, I have no doubt that collaborative consumption will start to make a big impact in the way solutions are derived. And we're certainly seeing examples of collaborative consumption emerging in Korea, in India, in Brazil, and I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes a very well recognised business model in these areas as well. So when I was in Sao Paulo in Brazil just last year, I had the opportunity to meet a whole range of people who are in the collaborative consumption space in Brazil, as well as other business leaders who are using these kinds of service. And I was completely overwhelmed by the positivity and the excitement around these collaborative consumption models, and the determination and enthusiasm of the entrepreneurs who are leading the charge. So we're seeing businesses anything from car sharing to ride sharing to peer-to-peer accommodation to co-working, all springing up in different parts of Brazil. And I can tell that it's a model that makes a lot of sense in that environment, where they're very keen to be entrepreneurial and to grow big businesses, but are also willing to be at the cutting edge and do things a little bit differently to business as usual. And that will actually help them leapfrog over what's become a very wasteful period of consumption for a lot of the developed nations, where they have considered that everyone should have things of their own, and that our individuality was wrapped up in what we actually could consume or own ourselves. So I think the gusto with which Brazilian businessmen are actually adapting to collaborative consumption means I think we're going to see Brazil become one of the market leaders in this space in a very short space of time, which is very exciting.